6:30 this Saturday evening. Good to be with you. I'm Gareth Edwards. Well, Numsa says Putco workers do deserve their bonuses and the wage increases promised to them. The trade union is lending its support to those protesting workers. Let's find out how they're doing that with spokesperson from Numsa, Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, joining us this morning. Phakamile, or this evening, I'm sorry, wrong show. This is South Africa Tonight. Hello, Phakamile. Good to talk to you. So how are you supporting 105 workers who have been fired? Good evening.
Good evening, Gareth, and good evening to your viewers. As Numsa, we actually believe that these workers should not have been fired in the first place. We don't agree with Putco's stance on the issue. This strike is a situation that Putco management provoked these workers into embarking on this work stoppage. And we believe that this situation could have easily been resolved had Putco simply done what is expected of it, which is to pay workers the increase which is due to them. 65 of the 105 who were dismissed are Numsa members. And as a union, we have said very clearly that we will do whatever is necessary to clear their names.
I see reports, Phakamile, which I'm sure you'll be aware of as well. The reasons for the dismissal is intimidation of non-striking workers at the depot. What's the response from Numsa on those accusations?
We're not going to respond specifically to the allegations that have been placed in the letter. There was a letter that the employer sent to us where they claimed this was the basis of the dismissal. We have not been part of any disciplinary process, so we cannot confirm whether the basis upon which they have dismissed workers is valid. And this is why we're saying that we would like an opportunity to defend our members. And in doing so, we will know more about whether there's any truth to the allegation that Putco is making.
And if there was, how would Numsa handle that?
I think that will be determined by the situation, because all of these things, there's always extenuating circumstances. Evidence has to be presented, and we will argue based on what is in front of us.
I also see as well that Putco are not laying any criminal charges against the workers, especially those who had lost their jobs. 65, as you say, are Numsa members as well. Some suggesting on social media, Phakamile, that if there's no charges being laid, that Putco isn't taking this all that seriously. They haven't followed due diligence. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, we already have doubts about whether they followed a proper process, first of all, in identifying these people and saying that they're guilty of misconduct. But as I said, that's something that we believe we would prefer to follow the process, find the evidence and back that up. But one of the things that we know, for example, is that when it comes to dismissal of workers in terms of if they're dismissed for unprotected strike, the law is clear that you have to look at what could have been the reasons that caused workers to embark on an unprotected work stoppage. And in our view, we think that these workers were justifiably provoked. And we say that because, Gareth, this is a company that is flouting a decision that was handed down by the Bus Passenger Council, of which it is a party to. We signed a wage agreement in 2016. All parties to that agreement signed on 6%. Putco appealed to the exemption committee, saying they could not afford to pay the 6%. That appeal or that application was upheld only once. But Putco has been through that process 3 times, and 2 out of the 3 times it has been dismissed. And the most recent dismissal happened in April, where the exemptions committee said, you do not deserve an exemption because we can see from your finances that you were able to give your executive management a 7% increase. You were able to pay one of the shareholders 60 million rand. The increase, the cost of the 6% increase that workers are asking for will cost the company 38 million. So there's no justification for you to be exempted. And instead of Putco implementing that decision, They are now trying to go to the labor court and have that decision set aside. And workers feel that it is unfair. This company has clearly demonstrated that it's made money, that it has made profits, and instead of sharing with workers, it wants to take from workers and then has the audacity to then go and dismiss them after provoking them in such an unfair manner.
What, in my last question to you, Phakamile, would you like to see change at Putco? Where does the rot start in your view? If there is rot here, where does it start and where does it need to be cut out?
Well, our perspective is that, Putco is a company that receives massive subsidies from government, and they get those subsidies whether their buses are full or not. And for us, the rot really is at the level of executive management, that they think it is moral and correct that they receive taxpayer support. And then when they make massive profits, instead of sharing with workers, they deny workers. And worse, in this case, they go and dismiss workers for protesting against what is really a morally egregious decision taken by Putco executive management. Workers have suffered through COVID. Workers were denied increases in 2019. And this is part of the reason why the exemptions committee said you've got to pay the increases this year, even making sort of a process for them to do that, to be fair. So really, in our view, if they want to fix this, they must just do the right thing and pay workers. This is the best way to rectify the situation.
Forgive me, Phakamile, that was going to be my last question, but your answer just triggered another question, if you don't mind, just very briefly. Well, I'm seeing reports as well that Putco, come Monday, are continuing with business as usual. Are you expecting to see more protesting and violence outside of the Putco offices?
Look, to be fair, Gareth, it's not all depots that are on a work stoppage. It's primarily the Dobsonville and Rocherville depots. The other depots in Tshwane, for example, my understanding from our sector coordinators is that workers are working. And that, for us, that has been our observation, because as a union, we have been encouraging workers to go back to work. For us, we would like to see workers going back to work, because obviously the longer this continues, the more they are exposed, and possible further disciplinary action can happen. And we will continue to encourage them to go back to work. What we are just being very clear about is that we understand their provocation. We would like to try and resolve this amicably without any more dismissals and any more disciplinary action. But we do need Putco to do the right thing and pay workers, because that really would resolve this crisis in the shortest time possible.
Well, I appreciate your time this Saturday evening. Numsa spokesperson Phakamile Hlubi-Majola joining us.